Hey everyone, and welcome back. I am really pumped for this deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that is absolutely fascinating. And, well, let's be honest, it's a little daunting too.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It is consciousness.
Right.
But we're not just talking about our everyday human experience of consciousness.
Right.
We're going to be exploring the idea that consciousness, it might actually be like a fundamental property of the universe itself,
Exactly. We're diving into the Cognitive-Theoretic Model of the universe,
the CTMU.
or CTMU for short, yeah, which puts forward this very idea that consciousness is more fundamental than we usually think.
The CTMU, I have to admit, it kind of sounds like something out of a science fiction movie or something. But the excerpts that you shared, they're really intriguing.
Yeah, it is a mind-bending model.
It is. They suggest that consciousness isn't just limited to us living beings. According to the CTMU, even a rock has a form of awareness.
That's the idea.
How is that even possible?
Well, it all starts with how the CTMU sort of reimagines reality. Imagine the universe not as a collection of objects, but as a language,
Right.
and specifically a self-configuring, self-processing language.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
I know, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But stick with me. It's a really cool idea.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
Self-configuring, self-processing language.
Right.
Break that down for me. What does that even mean?
Sure. So think about how a language works. You have words, you have grammar, you have syntax.
Right.
These rules allow you to combine symbols in very specific ways to create meaning. The CTMU proposes that the universe operates in a similar fashion. It's a system of information that's constantly evolving, processing itself, and creating new meaning. So self-configuring refers to how the universe seems to kind of create its own rules and structures.
Okay.
And self-processing indicates that it's able to constantly evolve, generate new information.
So instead of words and sentences, we have stars and galaxies and black holes and quarks and all that.
Exactly. All the stuff of the universe, from the tiniest particles to the largest structures, it all becomes part of this cosmic language.
Wow.
They're not just passive objects, they're actively participating in the universe's self-creation and evolution.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where this is going. If the universe is like a language, constantly processing information, generating meaning, it's almost like it's thinking.
That's the core idea, and that's where consciousness comes in. The CTMU argues that this self-processing of information, this ongoing conversation of the universe, it gives rise to consciousness. It's the self-awareness of the universe as a whole.
Okay, but what about like that rock we mentioned earlier? Does that mean it's actually having thoughts? It's not writing poetry or solving math problems, right?
Not quite. The CTMU uses the term proto-consciousness to describe this basic level of awareness that's present in even inanimate objects. So it's a very, very rudimentary form of consciousness. It's participating in the universal language, but not having complex thoughts or self-reflection like humans do.
Proto-consciousness. So is it like a seed of consciousness? Like if a rock has proto-consciousness, does that mean a tree has more of it? And then animals even more, leading up to humans?
You're catching on quickly. That's a key concept here. Consciousness exists on a spectrum. The CTMU doesn't see this hard line between conscious and non-conscious things. Instead, it suggests there's a gradient of complexity, from the simple awareness of a rock to the rich inner world of a human being.
That's a really interesting idea. So if even a rock has some level of awareness, does that change how we should think about the natural world? Does it change how we interact with our environment?
That's a great question, and one that the CTMU certainly encourages us to think about. If everything around us possesses some degree of consciousness, well, it could radically alter our relationship with the planet and all living things. But before we jump too far ahead, I think we should explore another really fascinating aspect of the CTMU,
Okay, I'm ready.
how it addresses the mind-body problem.
Ah, yes, the classic dilemma. How does our non-physical mind interact with our physical body? Something that philosophers have been wrestling with for centuries.
Exactly. And the CTMU proposes a unique solution, dual aspect monism.
Okay.
It suggests that mind and matter aren't separate entities, but two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin.
They're different aspects of a single fundamental reality.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you elaborate on that a little?
Sure, picture a coin. You have heads and you have tails. They're distinct,
Right.
but they're part of the same object.
Right.
The CTMU suggests that consciousness and the physical world are like that. They're different expressions of the same underlying reality.
So our thoughts, our feelings, that's the mind side of the reality coin. And then our bodies and like the physical world around us, that's the matter side.
Precisely. And this framework helps to bridge the gap between the mental and the physical.
Yeah.
They're intertwined, they're two facets of the same fundamental stuff.
Wow, that's a pretty elegant way to look at it. It makes
Yeah.
me wonder if everything is ultimately part of this single reality,
Yeah.
and that reality is conscious, does that mean we're all just like tiny pieces of the universe's mind?
That's a profound question, and it really gets to the heart of what makes the CTMU so, well, so mind-boggling, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It suggests that we as humans are deeply connected to this universal consciousness in ways we might never have imagined. But to fully grasp what that means, we need to dive into the CTMU's perspective on human consciousness.
Well, consider me officially hooked. I'm ready to keep exploring. What's next on our CTMU adventure?
Okay, so let's delve into how the CTMU views human consciousness. You see, it proposes that humans are like microcosms of the universe.
Microcosm, so like little mini universes walking around. That sounds like a pretty big claim. What makes the CTMU say that?
Well, the CTMU points to the structure of our minds. It suggests that the way we think, the way we process information, it reflects the larger structure of the universe itself.
So the universe is thinking in this grand, complex way, and our minds, though smaller and more limited, kind of work on similar principles. I can see how that's a compelling idea.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you consider the concept of telic recursion, which we touched on earlier. You see, the universe is constantly striving towards greater complexity and coherence. It's not just a random collection of events. There's a direction, a purpose, woven into its very fabric.
Okay, back to telic recursion. To be honest, I'm still wrapping my head around that one. Does it mean the universe has a specific destination in mind, like a final goal it's working towards?
That's a question that sparks a lot of debate. The CTMU doesn't give us a concrete answer about the universe's ultimate destination, but it suggests that this process of telic recursion is about continually evolving, expanding, and generating new layers of complexity and self-awareness.
So how do we humans fit into this cosmic purpose? Are we just along for the ride, or do we have a more active role?
Well, the CTMU suggests that human consciousness is not merely a passive observer. It's a vital part of the universe's self-understanding. Think of it this way. The universe is vast and complex, but it needs localized points of self-awareness to fully grasp itself.
So we're like the universe's way of looking back at itself, of understanding its own complexity.
Precisely. Our capacity for self-reflection, for abstract thought, for questioning the very nature of reality, these are all ways we contribute to the universe's self-awareness. It's like we're tiny nodes of consciousness within a vast network, each offering a unique perspective.
That makes me wonder, if we're all part of this universal consciousness and we're actively shaping it, do our individual choices really matter? Does the CTMU say anything about free will?
That's the million-dollar question. The CTMU's stance on free will is complex and nuanced. It doesn't offer a simple yes or no answer, but it does suggest that our choices are meaningful. They contribute to the ongoing process of telic recursion, shaping the direction of the universe in subtle ways.
So even though we're part of something much larger, our individual actions still have weight.
Indeed. It suggests that we're not just cogs in a machine. We have agency, the ability to influence the unfolding of the universe, even if we can't fully grasp the grand scheme of things.
Okay, this is all incredibly mind-bending, but I have to ask the big question that keeps popping up. If the universe is conscious and has a goal, does that also mean it has a will, like an intention driving its actions?
That's a fascinating question, and one that the CTMU doesn't explicitly answer. It focuses more on describing the mechanics of the universe as a self-processing system, but it certainly opens the door to that possibility.
So the CTMU doesn't say definitively whether the universe is actively making choices, but it doesn't rule it out either.
Exactly. It leaves that question open for exploration and contemplation, which I think is part of its appeal. It provides a framework for understanding the universe, but doesn't shy away from the big mysteries that remain unanswered.
I like that. It gives us a foundation to build on, but also encourages us to keep asking those deeper questions, to keep searching for understanding.
And that search for understanding is, in itself, part of the telic process. It's how we, as individuals and as a species, contribute to the universe's ongoing evolution.
This is giving me a whole new appreciation for the power of our minds, not just to solve everyday problems, but to potentially influence the direction of the cosmos.
It's a humbling and exhilarating thought, isn't it? To consider that our quest for knowledge, our drive to understand ourselves and the universe, might be woven into the fabric of reality itself.
It definitely puts things in perspective. But with all this talk about the grand scheme of things, I'm curious, Does the CTMU have any specific implications for how we live our lives day to day?
That's a great question, and I think it leads us to the heart of what the CTMU ultimately offers. A new way of seeing ourselves and our place in the universe.
Well, I'm ready to explore that further. Lead the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does this grand universe as language idea from the CTMU, how does it actually, translate into everyday life? Does it like give us any practical guidance?
Well, the CTMU doesn't offer us like a step-by-step guide to living. It's not a cosmic instruction manual or anything like that.
Right.
But I think it does offer a really powerful shift in perspective.
Right.
It encourages us to see ourselves not as these isolated individuals, but as like integral parts of this vast interconnected web of consciousness.
That reminds me of that quote, we're all just waves in the same ocean.
Yeah.
But the CTMU kind of takes it even further, suggesting that the ocean itself might be conscious.
Exactly. And that has profound implications. If we really truly grasp, that our thoughts, our actions, our very being is interwoven with this universal consciousness, it might change how we approach everything. Our relationships, our work, our interaction with the environment, it all takes on a new dimension.
So instead of just focusing on our own little bubble, we start to see how we fit into the larger picture.
Yes, and I think that shift in perspective can be both humbling and empowering. It reminds us that we're part of something so much bigger than ourselves, but also that we have a role to play in this, the unfolding of this cosmic story.
It's like we're all co-authors of this grand narrative, like contributing our unique experiences and perspectives to the ever-evolving story of the universe.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And, the CTMU suggests that this story is driven by, telic recursion, that constant striving toward greater complexity and understanding.
So even if we don't know the ending, we can still participate in this grand adventure of becoming.
Exactly. And I think the CTMU invites us to approach that adventure with, a sense of curiosity, open-mindedness, and a willingness to just keep learning and growing.
It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about consciousness, but it feels like we stumbled upon a whole new way of thinking about life, the universe, and everything.
I think that's the power of exploring ideas like the CTMU. It pushes us beyond our usual boundaries and just opens our minds to new possibilities.
Well, I have to say, this has been one of our most mind-bending deep dives yet.
Yeah.
It's definitely given me a lot to ponder.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's the mark of a truly thought-provoking topic. It doesn't give us all the answers, but it sparks new questions and invites us to keep exploring.
To our listeners, we hope this deep dive into the CTMU has sparked your curiosity as well. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, that's perfectly normal. This is complex stuff, and it takes time to digest.
We encourage you to, delve deeper into the CTMU on your own, read more about it, and see what resonates with you. You might be surprised at what you discover.
And who knows, maybe this is just the beginning of our exploration of consciousness. There's still so much to learn and discover. Until then, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.